You know me. I know you. This is Father FKN Wrestling. Excuse my language. I know a lot of people don't want to hear a lot of cursing right now, but why not? We're here today on this June 8th, 2020. It's about, let's say, 8:26 in the a.m. I'm at work, sitting in the parking lot, waiting for a customer to pull up. But as I sit here by myself in my vehicle, I'm thinking, why not do a show right now? Why not be in this thing we call the world of society right now? The Father is here. I haven't been here in a while. And as I'm doing this podcast, the first thing that comes up in my head is the racial injustice of America. You can talk about it in sports. You can talk about it in society. You can talk about it in school. You can talk about it at any workplace. This thing has to get situated. We're going to get into that here today. And another thing I do want to talk about is the protesting. And a lot of these things that's going on in the world and where they stem from. My condolences goes out to the family of George Floyd. We all been at a point in our lives where maybe the police has ran up on us for little bit of reason or no reason at all. And I have to say, it happened to me a couple of times. And it's not easy, but it's just the thing you have to deal with as being a so-called black man. Or being technical, a brown man in America. It's not easy. But yeah, man, a lot of things have been going down. I know that a lot of things have been going down in the world of wrestling. We know Matt Riddle is finally getting his big push in SmackDown. We know that Rusev and a lot of other former WWE superstars are in between and not in between of knowing they're going to go back or not. I hope Impact Wrestling gets at least EC3 and Rusev. I will take EC3 back and Rusev. Everybody else, who knows? Maybe. But you don't want to be to a point where you're just grabbing as WWE stars. I do agree with that. That's something you don't want to be known as, because you're going to go back to doing the old formula, and the old formula didn't work. But EC3 was one of our guys anyways. He should have never left. I don't know why Dustin Bateman or whatever they called him, I don't know why he left. But anyways, moving on from that. Sorry about that. I'm drinking on little Body Armor super drink. This is the Blackout Berry. So delicious. When it's cold, oh my goodness. Had to get a little sip of the bubbly. Speaking of sipping of the bubbly, I have to say, I never spoke on it, so I can say this. It's my show, my podcast. You know, no sponsors. Don't need none right now. But if you want to jump on the bandwagon of the Father FKN franchise, you jump on right now. This is the time. This is the moment that if you want a voice to be heard, you come on this show. If you want to come on my show and give your opinion, I will gladly reach my arms and my hands out to you and let you do whatever it is that you do. Woo, woo. Shout out to all of my people in Hollywood, Florida. Shout out to all of my people in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We're repping Florida here too. We're repping Florida. Let's get it together. Yes, sir. But anyways, if you guys really want to know, it really hits home, especially when you live in a neighborhood that's diverse, but as in the modern era. But a while ago, the era I live in, which is I stay in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. But they used to call it Davie. I stayed basically on the borderline. That's between 441 and Sterling. So where I stay, it meets up with Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood, and Miami. And I stay across, like pretty much across the street from what they call the Hard Rock. But this area a long time ago was known to be racist as hell. I gotta say it. It's the truth. This is the truth, and until we just start speaking truth, nothing is going to happen. Nothing is going to move on, and that's why, me personally, I don't really like the NFL like that. I do. I like certain teams and certain players maybe, but the NFL has always been almost like a slave plantation to me. But I guess that's my opinion. You know, but what Drew Brees said when he brought up that his grandparents was in the military, his two grandfathers, he was that they always do that. You gotta understand something. That's another thing that they do to defend themselves, because that's all they got sometimes in some of the reasons, you know. Maybe not in all situations they do that, because not all white people are like that. Trust me, I know a bunch of them. It wasn't my choice to grow up in the areas I grew up in. I grew up in Liberia, which is a part on the eastern side of Hollywood, Florida, or what they call Hollywood, Dania. And I also grew up in a couple of diverse areas. A long time ago, West Park Road and all of that stuff was Cava Ranches, and West Park Road and all of that stuff. I grew up over there in Mill Street. I know all about it. And I also had my share of growing up around a bunch of Spanish and white folks and all kinds of folks. And it ain't easy. I tell you that. It's not easy. Because it's like, ever since I was a child, I couldn't breathe. You can't breathe in a society where your forefathers was basically in a race, but they got held back in a race where other societies and other groups of people was propelled. And while you was being propelled, these people here was being held back, went to war, fought the war for you, won the war for you, was offered better by different countries also. Didn't take that, because we know, a lot of us know we are American anyways, which they don't want to say, but no problem. And now it's like all of that's gone. They're trying to wipe out what your ancestors did to propel themselves, no problem. But you got to understand something. A lot of young folk nowadays, you got to look at their children. You look at their friends. You look at their brother-in-laws. It's very different diversities and different colors that goes into that nowadays. It's not the same thing as it used to be. So that's where it becomes a problem for everybody. Because our children has to go to school together, has to live together. We want to be comfortable. You want to be comfortable. We all want wealth. We're at the most disadvantage of being in the wealth caliber. Because you guys had a 400-year head start. No problem. Me, personally, I am for reparations. Me, personally, I am for equality and justice. Me, personally, I am for redoing the system that we know today in the United States of America. That has nothing to do with what you want to call my religion. Has nothing to do with what I see on the outcome of the streets or on the TV or anything. That's just right. I should have my own system if your system is not working for me. I should have my own piece of land. I should have my own so I can build for my own if that's the case. So I just wanted to get on here and rant about that right now, you know, because it really hurts. It really hurts when you look at a so-called police officer and see that his knee is kneeling. He kneeled all right. He kneeled on this man's neck. And you got so-called equal system that has to waste time and say whether this man is guilty or not, whether he should receive a death penalty. He should receive a death penalty, and his family should have to pay George Floyd's family for the rest of their lives. Why? Because that's justice. That's justice. Let his ass fry. Because if it was me, or if it was any one of my brothers, even if it was some of my let's say Caucasian friends that might not seem to fit what the Caucasian branding is, you know? Even if it was some of them, they'll receive the death penalty because they don't fit the status quo. And that's just the way America is. It's the way all society is. All societies around the world has racism. Don't let them fool you. They can't fool me. I'm 30-something years old. I'm not going to give out my whole age. But you guys know how old the father is. I'm 36, goddammit. Okay. But with that said, I got to get back to work. I just want to let that be known that I stand with all of my brothers that's protesting. I stand with anybody who's fighting for equal justice, especially dealing with the police situation, because it's got to stop. It's got to stop at some point. So who's going to stop it? Who's going to stop it? Because they're not fighting for you. We see how they pushed the old man down on the floor. Look, and the blood was coming out of his ear. And that was a white guy, a so-called white guy. So they're not fighting for you, so who they're fighting for? Are they an army? What is this? Well, that's just the father, and I'm here to let you know that I'm with you for sure. And this is the Father Fucking Wrestling Podcast Show. Woo! I'm out.